Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. I'd like to cover some news items and we'll start on some wellness issues. First, some interesting articles that, number one of the most important breakthroughs is our new cell defense, which is a new upgraded form of turmeric or curcumin. It's the most important single nutraceutical on the planet, and the reason is it reverses DNA damage, reverses inflammation, turns off and helps stem cells regenerate tissues, but it's not very bioavailable. This new technology is an upgrade from our previous cell defense with bioperin. It is absolutely stunning how it can reverse and get rid of stem cells for cancer, how it can reverse blood vessel inflammation and brain inflammation, how it can reverse vascular disease, along with things like our amazing nutraceuticals like cardiovasc, etc., ellagic acid, omega supreme, krill with the astaxanthin. Turmeric kills properties put chemo and radiation to shame, in fact. And I'll be posting some of these articles, some of them from Green Med Info. Natural medicine, of course, is basic to things like broccoli, our sulforaphane glycosinolate. SGS is extracted. One capsule equivalent to 5 pounds of broccoli seed has an amazing capacity to reverse DNA changes into cow cells to go through apoptosis or programmed cell death and to repair DNA. And, of course, also ellagic acid and full vitamin K2 or menaquinone 7. Another interesting report we have is 3 food cans tested have toxic BPA or bisphenol A in the linings. So BPA is in a lot of places you wouldn't assume, and they're talking about some of the major food sources that you think, well, those are probably, non-toxic. But I'm going to post that there's a lot of different, BPA epoxy resins, including, grocery stores like Albertsons, including Randall's and Safeway, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, including Family Dollar, Gordon Food Service, Kroger, Loblaws, Meijer, Publix, Target, Trader Joe's, and Walmart. So 62% of private label or generic food cans, 71 over 114 from retailers, showed positive for BPA. So they need to take it out of there, okay, just like genetically modified food. The DARK bill, which they tried to pass through the Senate, it was only defeated by 1 vote, means the ability of the federal government to actually go dark to make sure that you don't know what's genetically modified in your food, because these unstable plasmid foods are extremely dangerous to your DNA and your epigenetics. Well, we also have to get rid of these we call the endocrine disruptors like bisphenol A. Another interesting is non-toxic therapies to target cancer, and that's where we have our cancer protocol. And interestingly, our treatment cancer protocol is identical for autoimmune disease. So if you have someone with lupus, someone with bad psoriasis, someone with scleroderma, someone with multiple sclerosis, the treatment basically is get them on a ketogenic diet, means off of sugar, get them in mild hyperbaric oxygen, but then get the proper nutraceuticals to actually get rid of what's called cancer stem cells, to reverse the DNA damage, and to cause also get rid of the stealth pathogens and toxins that are causing the DNA to change, so that it's generating antigens on the cell surface, so your tissues are being recognized as non-self, and therefore you activate T lymphocyte clones to attack the tissue and create anti-tissue antibodies, etc. So the underlying cause of cancer and autoimmune disease is identical. Isn't that strange? There's also a new, it's called Merge-Santo, M-E-R-G-E, Santo, new threat to food sovereignty. And Monsanto is poisoning you. Of course, what's going on now, world agriculture has 3 mega mergers in play. Merge, Santo, new threat to food sovereignty. If we act, we can stop the big 6 from becoming the Titanic 3. In other words, what's going on, there's mergers of these corporations. So Monsanto has separate talks with Bayer and BASF, 2 German giants among agricultural input companies, while anti-competition regulators are fussing about the hookup with DuPont and Dow of Syngenta and Chem China. Monsanto urgently needs to make a match. So what they're seeing is these 6 major companies that control seeds and pesticides are now trying to merge worldwide. This is scary stuff. And they will control not only seeds, but all the toxins on your food that affect human biology, fertility, epigenetics, and the ability to have a normal child and normal health. So we'll have further stories on this, and I'll be posting up the articles. One of the things, by the way, in terms of controlling things like rheumatoid arthritis is not only our nutraceuticals to heal the joints, like tendon bender joint performance and leptin metabolic, but our anti-inflammatories, Inflamex, and our new upgraded cell defense. And if you have outstanding orders, because we've had a back order on them, you will get the new upgraded version at no extra charge. So be patient with us. It will be coming out very shortly. You'll get it probably within a week or so. There's a number of things that they talk about in terms of treatments, and I will just mention a couple of them that I think may be helpful. The first thing I tell people about arthritis is there's a lot of treatments that I consider may be helpful, but they actually are just covering up the symptoms. For example, vitamin D is essential. Anti-inflammatory fatty acids, omega supreme krill with astaxanthin. Because remember, most of these diseases are what we call primarily free radical illnesses. So cell detox glutathione, Nutritrala, and carnosine to stop singular oxygen and the cross-linking of proteins, which changes their conformational structure and produces ability to attack them. Fatty acids like omega supreme and especially omega supreme krill and omega cod liver liquid help tremendously with arthritis. Probiotics. Most people don't realize that your probiotics in your gut actually reduce total body inflammation and with levels of what's called pyrogens, which stimulate joint attacks. So Living Probiotic, our Result 6 strain, and Living Probiotic Ultra, the How Are You strain, are the most powerful probiotics on earth. Other things that can be very helpful to reduce inflammation are things like berberine or berberstatin. And by the way, berberine, researchers now shown it lowers the other bad hormone that causes diabetes and blood sugar and weight gain, is glucagon. And I mentioned that the most powerful now researched substance to lower glucagon levels, besides getting rid of pathogens in your gut, is berberstatin. And we have the most powerful berberstatin and the most best delivery system in the world. So you need to lower your glucagon levels. If you're, for example, diabetic and your sugars are higher first thing in the morning than even when you went to bed, it's because your liver converted proteins through the one-carbon pathway into sugar. And the berberstatin will stop that. So that makes a huge difference. And vitamin D. Arthritic patients tend to have very low levels of vitamin D. We want to use not only vitamin D2, but vitamin D3. The vitamin D2 is myco-D2. It also has ergothioneine for joint regeneration. You also want to use the things to heal the joints, such as Tendon Mender, Joint Performance, Mountain Red Velvet, and the minerals, which are in Minerals Plus and Copper Regenemax. So you need those. If you have food allergies, if you have food sensitivities, you need to cut them out. For example, a lot of time you'll find symptoms we want to move to a more alkaline diet. So you might find meat and dairy, especially red meats, will be a problem. You want to stay away from gluten if you have gluten sensitivity, and there's an easy test to do. Those things will raise your cytokine levels and make your joints more inflamed. So that gives you an idea of the kinds of things you need to do to stop that inflammation. Fish oils like omega supreme krill especially, and omega cod liver liquid are extremely important to reduce the fatty acid ratio for what we call pro-inflammatory. And one of the most important is our high levels of our cell defense. And I recommend that people with arthritis take at least 2 cell defense 3 times a day. There's other nutritionals we're looking into. One of them is called the Thunder God Vine. There's research in China and elsewhere of using Thunder God Vine in order to stop arthritis. The most important of all, though, is the new cell defense. That's really important, along with the Inflamex, because it breaks up the inflammatory byproducts of the cytokines in your tissue. It helps to break down the damaged cells and tissues that can be removed, because that debris will cause more blockage of your lymphatics and more inflammation. So that's interesting. Next article is I'd like to touch on some of the news items that are going on. And if we look over at what's called the Drudge, Cruz is getting the Bronx effect, and they're not in Wisconsin anymore. Of course, Wisconsinites are nice people, but they're naive. They listen to this scam artist and liar, Mr. Cruz. I think that we're seeing a lot of really strange things happening. Hillary Clinton, as evil as she is trying to steal the convention, but I'm certain that Sanders is prepping for a contestant convention. Call in if you have any questions on any health issues, geopolitical, spiritual, or other. And even if you want to recommend specific guests, just call in 800-259-5791. We're going to continue looking at the news, and then we're going to talk about natural wellness. And coming up in hour 3, we have Tim Alexander and our nuclear experts, Chris Harrop. And welcome back. I want to touch on some of the news because some of the stuff is pretty interesting. The first thing is I want to talk about Bernie Sanders. When asked specific questions about how he's going to implement his policy, Bernie stutters. But he has his heart in the right place in terms of framing the issues, and he's release valve for the people on the left that are angry about the fact that the situation in politics in the country ignores these people. People that are destitute, can't afford education, are stuck in schools that aren't being properly serviced. I mean, a whole range of things. The same kind of reasons for another group of people on the right that are supporting Donald Trump. Now, Bernie Sanders, of course, is actually getting more favor with young people than Obama in '08, so which is kind of interesting. Right now what's going on is that for every one person coming in from Europe, there are two people that are being immigrated from, we call Muslim immigrants. And this is kind of disturbing. They're from Muslim countries, and there's no filtration at all whatsoever to stop terrorists from coming in. I think if they're Christian, they should be let in immediately. If they're Muslim, they need to be stopped from getting into the country. And I think that we need to be vetting them very, very carefully, and we have to have some kind of vetting procedure. If they're then they have to not agree to Sharia law now or in the future. We have to make sure we monitor all the mosques. We, in a sense, police them, because Islam does not mix like oil and water with our culture. It won't in Europe. And to be honest with you, Christians that are from the Mideast mix very well with our culture, whether they're Syrian, Iraqi, or Armenian, etc. Now, one of the things that Bill Clinton made a comment, he says, Black Lives Matter protesters are defending murderers and drug dealers. Wow. Bill Clinton was giving a speech to a crowd of Hillary Clinton supporters. He was repeatedly interrupted by Black Lives Matter protesters. He responded saying, "You are defending the people who killed the lives you say matter. Tell the truth." Wow. That's quite interesting, eh? So that's what's going on there. Bill Clinton is not necessarily happy with Obama. He's made a statement about how the last 8 years of Obama has been a disaster at the lectern on the circuit for Hillary. Obama is claiming the power to make illegal immigrants eligible for Social Security and disability. This man is crazy and evil. He needs to be impeached immediately. And I posted up an article which you'll see over on clayandiron.com. Demonic arches rising in New York and London on April 19th. Welcome signs for the Antichrist. And I went over this some details yesterday, so you hear that audio. For 13 days, they're going to continue this so-called celebration. It's a period known as the blood sacrifice to the beast that culminates on the high occult day called Beltane on May 1st, which is also the same day as the communists call, May Day. It's also, 19th is also the date of the Feast of Moloch, ancient Canaanite god that basically, they would worship the children on the fires of the arms of Moloch. This is, pretty scary stuff, but they're literally asking for the return of Apollonius or Osiris, whatever, to be the Antichrist, to actually take over Earth. I mean, this is scary. Hard to believe, but true. And I think people need to understand that when I look, I talked to several people, and they said, well, what organization is doing this? The Michael Snyder, by the way, wrote the article about this, and he wrote this in Charisma News about this fact. And let's see who the organization is behind it. Well, I don't have time to go through the specific points in the article here, but it's going to cost a lot of money to put these digital arches in both New York and London, and then 1,000 other cities. That's pretty incredible. Now, we hear Obama talking about the Panama Papers, and of course Putin's response is that it is a scheme of the West, and already they're trying to do a regime change in many countries. Iceland, the Prime Minister of Iceland has been removed from power. They're of course trying to attack Putin and talk about corruption at the highest levels in the Russian government, because again it's another attempt to destroy the people. We have an article up here about Trump calls the Ford Mexico plant an absolute disgrace. Ford plans on building in the next year, starting this July, $1.6 billion of a Ford plant expansion in Mexico. That's really scary. And of course, the blue-collar work voters trade is killing us. This is from McClatchy, and it's a fact. I mean, that's why you see the large segment of the support for Donald Trump know that they're, some people say, well, we're moving into a high-tech economy. Yeah, but you don't get rid of manufacturing when you do that. You have to have manufacturing, and you have to have it with new technology, whether it's robotic technology or new high-tech. You do not lose your manufacturing. You won't even have the ability to make weapons of warfare to protect your country or develop infrastructure like high-speed rail. You'll have to be buying it from someone else like South Korea or China. For example, Bombardier of Quebec transferred their technology and tried to help the Chinese. The Chinese upgraded the technology to go a little faster and then said it was our patent. They just modified it enough to get past international patent rules, and now, of course, the Chinese will try to build these high-speed rail systems and sell them around the world to compete the same way as the wind turbines for generating power. Power Corporation, I was watching the report here on 60 Minutes a few weeks ago. They stole their technology, did industrial espionage, and of course the total amount of value now is estimated at $200 billion in industrial espionage per year in the United States from China, and it's around 20 to 30 billion a year from Canada. So the Chinese are not playing fair ball here, and that's just one of the many things that are happening in this country that are pretty obscene. So let's look at some of the other major issues here that we're talking about. I want to talk about some of the nutritional supplements that we have now in terms of how to apply them. And firstly, one of the more common things that's wrong with people is chronic fatigue. And the most common thing is both thyroid and adrenal dysfunction. If your thyroid starts to fail, so does your adrenal glands. Now, if you want adrenal support, I had one gentleman who was also having male hormone support. Usually, if you see low male hormone, you also see low adrenal function and low thyroid. They'll go together. You also see decrease in growth hormone. So you measure not only HGH levels, but the growth hormone binding proteins. And you can do that for labs. Adrenal dysfunction, the best way to measure that is saliva, to measure the cortisol, DHEA, which is a pre-hormone, and melatonin. And you do a saliva test during the day, and it'll tell you at Genova Labs through Lab Testing Direct exactly what's going on there. First thing we recommend is adrenal support gland. At least 2 capsules in the morning, maybe repeat again in the afternoon, depending on how severe the problem is. DHEA, 2 pumps to 3 pumps in the upper abdomen, lower chest, and pregnenolone to support the pre-hormones. The next step is, of course, to add to mitothyroid and things to support adrenal gland function, and the things to reduce the stress. Oftentimes you'll see that the people with adrenal dysfunction also are being stressed by their blood sugar and insulin resistance, so we want to lower insulin with diabetoline, glycemics, and leptin metabolic, as well as chromium cruciferate and biotin plus. One of the most important things is to lower glucagon with berberstatin. Berberstatin will lower your glucagon so your body doesn't make excess sugar, which jams up the sugar conversion in your liver from protein at night, especially. And then, of course, your body converts the sugar into fat. So high insulin, which is driven up by high glucagon, so you've got to get it back, the glucagon down as well as insulin, to get your weight under control and your blood sugar. And you have to stop free radicals with cell detox, glutathione, and Nutrimedical. Coming up at the top of the hour, we have Tim Alexander. I want to continue talking about some of the wellness nutraceuticals and some of the amazing things you can do with, if you have the proper nutraceuticals to correct your health. One of the things that's most remarkable, we have our new, I want to go over how to listen to the program. First, you go to Nutrimedical.com or ClayandIron.com. You can hit the Listen Live button. It'll bring you directly to the Listen Live on the show. And there's also phone apps if you go to the bottom of that panel. We have the free MP3 archives. We have the Nutrimedical Report call-in number, 800-259-5791, and the Listen free phone number as well, 605, etc. That's 605-562-4096. Then below that, you see a panel for the free Deagle Network TV, which is a live stream TV channel. We have currently 5 events going. That's pretty amazing, and it's able to play on everything, Android phone, iPads, computers, anywhere in the world, and it's all free. All the videos, including videos on Nutrimedical products, geopolitical, biosecurity issues, astrophysics, and earth changes, to our Christian World News and Christian Evangelism, etc. Website link. So all those, and you'll see a lot of different interviews after the show. For example, I'll be doing interviews on Fridays with Ann Morrison to update her biosecurity information. When Professor McCanny comes back from his big, research tour that he's doing right now, we'll have some updates from him. And those will all be placed there in videos. It'll be accessed, and mainly we convert also over to our YouTube channel. We also have a direct link to our Nutrimedical Nutraceuticals Formula event page, which includes new videos that are going up on all the different nutraceutical formulas, as well as our wellness products. And I'm adding a lot of medical references and other information that'll be embedded. Wellness conditions, by the way, here's the new upgraded policies. If you have a health problem, Anybody can email or call and you'll get a response. There's no charge for it. I will give you a response and tell you what to start with. Number 2, if you purchase a product, you automatically become a customer. If you're a customer, you can request, you have to do it request, the password to get into the wellness conditions. I hope and pray that if you read our wellness conditions, you will exclusively get your wellness nutritionals from us, no one else, because I can't give you an opinion on whether or not they're going to work or not work if you're getting them all over the place from people that have basically knockoffs or inferior products. We also need to know what drugs you're on. So again, we're talking about medical integration with whatever your medical treatment is or whatever you're doing otherwise in terms of diet and so on. So all that information is free. If you have a mountain of information that you're trying to dump on me, we'll have to convert to a consult. But those things are rare. And when people do have that amount of information, they have a complex condition, I set up a phone consult based on time. That's maybe 1 in a couple hundred people that we do that because they want to have the time to go on the phone and discuss these complex things. We have, of course, at our panels, our wellness updated medical conditions. We have the announcements and notices, and you'll see with the critical issues forum, I'm putting an article together and an upgrade based on many of the principles of Donald Trump's health plan, plus my additional things that need to be done to fix the healthcare system. I'll be writing articles on Fukushima Daiichi. That's going to be coming out this weekend, too, the 5th anniversary update on Fukushima Daiichi, and also a video that'll be over also on our live stream premium Deagle Network TV channel. We're also, of course, have many other, we call important announcements that are present there, such as the Radiation Network gamma radiation sites, other types of information available that are important links. If we look over at our panel for Nutraceutical Associates, you'll see at the top here, myself and my wife, Michelle, recently, that was last fall. Highest quality nutraceuticals, below that, carrot bars. And I tell people, if you want to get into a system, and I don't usually recommend, this is not a normal multi-level, it's what's called a binary. And you're really just having them exchange fractional reserve currency for gold-backed currency. It's better than gold. It's okay to have gold and silver, but you're better still yet to have carrot bars. And also with K-Exchange and so on, you can buy and sell around the world without actually physically transferring the gold and silver. Then we have, of course, the 10% code for Nutrimeds if you're going to buy a pure water system. We have also a link directly to our Clay and Iron website. Lots of interesting things over there. Micropulse, Dr. Bob Dennis, our Schumann resonance generator. I use it all the time. It's fantastic for sleep and for regenerating your pineal gland and turning off inflammation and pain. VibraSlim, vibrational exercise, whole body. Best device, 1/3 the price of any other major system. Better service, modular, etc. Less EMF. We have our donate old smartphones, iPads, and tablets. Direct link, so that's going to help us here at GCN with all the different broadcasters. Summit to Sea, hyperbaric chambers. Bruce McKeeman, they have new chambers all the time. They have new ones now that you can actually take a gurney and put someone on a stretcher directly in there. Large vertical grand dive chambers, all kinds of new technology. So they have pet chambers as well. Dave and Jean Mitchell, if you want information about how to set up a remote site to buy or sell real estate, especially in California, but they will help you anywhere in the world. So contact Dave and Jean. The PrepareWise Foods, the best Mylar low oxygen content foods, no preservatives, longest life, and of course we have Lumen Photon. We're adding 4 new sizes to the Lumen Photon. There's a direct link to Professor McCanney's site, Tier 1 scientist, astrophysicist. And then one of my favorites, Ann Morrison's Twyland blog, twyland.info. And she's on every Friday on the program. Joel Skousen at World Affairs Brief. I tell people, get this email blog. It's extremely important, one of the best. And if you want a mobile shelter for disasters, the best one to get is not a RV. It's to get a Turtle Tough shelter. It's the best price for the most resilient shelter for safety, for growing food, for setting up, if you want to call it a remote village. If you use the code 3215, you're going to save another 5%. And the Ready Store, and then, of course, Jonathan Gray's ebooks. And I just recently got his video that goes along with the Sting of the Scorpion, talk about biblical astrology. Turns out people may or may not know this, but Moses, many of the ancient prophets, including the 3 wise men, were all we call biblical astrologists, symbologists, and understanding of the symbology of the Hebrew letters, and we call the Kabbalah, the original one before it got perverted in the Middle Ages. It's not a demonic cult. This is actually the biblical type of astrological understanding of what's going on, and he has a video to go along with it regarding star signs. So he was one of the first things that actually converted him to becoming a Christian, realizing that those things were put in the Bible. Pretty amazing. I want to go back to our wellness conditions. Wellness conditions, you just put the password in once you receive it if you become a customer, and you can just call 888-212-8871 or phone or email us. We'll give you the password. And anyone who calls our 888 line or emails, we will give you a response. I'll personally recall you back, reviewing your health conditions. If there's a huge amount of information, as a huge, like I'm going to steal a Donald Trump term, I will request that we do convert it to a consult, because sometimes people have so many issues, it's not possible to just do a quick and dirty email or call back. But that's rare. Most of the time I can provide something pretty quickly, whether it's something simple like heart disease, renal dysfunction, glaucoma, psoriasis, some other condition, to get you started on a starter protocol. Now, if you look at the top buttons on the top of below the Nutrimedical sign on our website, you're going to see our history and a little bit of my bio. You'll see news. You'll see if you go to the news page, you're going to see news, radio show archives. You're going to see lots of interesting information there. The archives button, I'm actually starting to upload the archives and actually cross-index them, so you'll see the most recent shows you can find by topic, and you'll see those posted up here. So by the weekend, you'll see all the shows for the week, and we'll tell you what was the content, so you can search by content and find the shows that deal with heart disease or different conditions. We will be back in just a moment, and we'll continue explaining how to optimize your wellness, optimize your spiritual health, and what's next. And coming up in just a few minutes at the top of the hour, Tim Alexander with the latest blog on geopolitical and spiritual issues, and an update from Chris Harris, our nuclear expert, on what's going on with nuclear safety worldwide and Fukushima Daiichi. And welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report. Let's touch on some of the nutraceuticals, how to use them. We're talking about looking at some of our drinks. Ageless. Ageless is interesting because it has the anti-aging components, immunoglobulins, the sulforaphane glycosinolate to repair DNA, probiotics. It has a number of components that combine, especially with life support, which has phase 2 detox, all the minerals present in Vitamin Mineral Max Minerals Plus, the activated vitamins, which are very unique because virtually all vitamins do not have activated forms or they're not bioconverted to their final stage. Ageless Life Support does. Then, of course, our third drink is Glycemics, which stabilizes your blood sugar, reduces insulin and glucagon, reduces tissue inflammation, stabilizes, we call glycation, etc., and helps weight loss. In fact, we had one lady in Texas last year. She took our Glycemics and basically used it exclusively. She was able to peel off 100 pounds, I think, in 6 months. That's pretty amazing. So a lot of people find their diabetes goes away. The triple threat I call for diabetes is Glycemics, diabetoline, and leptin metabolic. The fourth one I'd add is berberstatin because it lowers glucagon. And you can add also others, but that's the core. The other ones would include what's called a Biotin Plus and Chromium Cruciferate Minerals Plus, which has a lot of the minerals necessary, vanadium, chromium, etc., to lower tissue resistance. And you can add Indiamese, which will optimize mineral content. So if you're still having troubles and the blood sugar is not coming down, we add these other things like Minerals Plus, Chromium Cruciferate, and Indiamese. When we look at anti-aging, one of the first things I think of is Anti-Age Max, which is the SIRT1 gene. It'll lower cholesterol oxidation. It actually, combined with our new cell defense, has an amazing effect at reversing the aging process. So cell defense and Anti-Age Max are important for anti-aging. The other anti-aging components would be Indiamese, Myco-D2, which has ergothioneine for cell regeneration, Collagen Max, and Mountain Red Deer Velvet. Mountain Red Deer Velvet, amazing biomolecules. And we're working on a new version of Applied to actually import the underlying powder and have a new sort of capsulation technology which will deliver it to the terminal small bowel, so it'll actually enter your small bowel without being destroyed by stomach or digestive enzymes. It's very powerful. Much of it does survive, but I like to put them under my tongue. I find it very effective. A capsule twice a day is amazing for healing and regeneration. So, next one I want to talk about for depression is BioLVR and Mood Elevator. And the Mood Elevators are older product called Posinol. Mood Elevator and BioLVR, you're trying to bioconvert the amino acids to neurotransmitters. So BioLVR and Mood Elevator to reduce anxiety, calm mind, and brain mag. The calm mind, brain mag are very powerful for doing that. And you can add, if you're still having troubles and the depression's not responding, you can add superfolate, pyromethyl B12, and especially what's called semethyl. Methylation is very important for bioconverting amino acids to neurotransmitters. So very easy to do that. Bladder irritability, bladder problems, bladder up, and Swedish flower pollen, and to clear the infections, Allicin Med, Nutridyne, and Silver 100. And of course, our Nutridyne is not the same as other people's we call nascent iodine. It is monoatomic, Tesla activated. No one else has a method and technology to do this. It's quite dangerous. Our gentleman who does it for us is a NASA contract engineer. We also have the Allicin Med, the highest concentration allicin. We have excellent products with the Alamax and Alamed, but if you get Allicin Med, it's a much lower price, and we have the German-based, sourced, and standardized 200 milligrams more per capsule than Alamed, which has been proven over 25 years, given on script in Europe, Britain, Australia, and New Zealand by doctors to stop infections. So when I had a consult the other day, and I'm putting together a protocol for a lady, for herself and her son, with Lyme disease and possible other spirochete-type infections, and their pets, you want to use, as I say, triple threat Allicin Med, which, by the way, will also stop biting insects like mosquitoes for Zika virus, but it also will penetrate the biofilm much better than for antifungals like Sporanox and other antifungals, moxifloxacin or antibiotics, which often you'll develop drug resistance to, or minocycline. So I much prefer natural antipathogenics. They're far superior. You won't develop resistance to them, and you'll stay on a maintenance dosage, lower dosage after the first few months of high dose. We have, of course, our brain power, which is going to improve brain oxidative protection to the brain for an older person not developing, we call BOF, or brain on fire, or a younger person with autism or Asperger syndrome. We have the CanC eye drops, which is developed by Dr. Babachev in Moscow, dimethylcarnosine, and of course we have the carnosine capsules. I call carnosine delincture proteins, and Nutritrala to reverse the diabetic cross-linking, and we call the RAGE, or advanced glycosylation end products, where the oxidized sugar molecules actually can damage proteins. The cell defense, I wanted to explain this. This is a whole new technology. If you've ordered cell defense, we have the new one coming. It is amazing with turning off tissue inflammation and actually getting rid of cancer stem cells. So you want to stop cancer from returning, you want to be on our new cell defense. You want to take ellagic acid, Maligna block, and full vitamin K2, and a myco-D2, which we call aroncomycin. Those are all anti-cancer nutraceuticals. Do not take an HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor like Zoc or Lipitor or Crestor. Our cod liver liquid will do that, 1 tablespoon or 10 to 20 mils. For your brain to make you smarter in an hour, like the movie Limitless, Cognition Plus. 2 capsules twice a day, Brain Power 1 twice a day, and we have our little brother of the Cognition Plus called Synaptin, very powerful. If you just want to get the cheaper version, the very powerful Synaptin. And if you're trying to remyelinate the brain, we use our sphingolin, myelin basic protein, and Neurogen. And the minerals to work with that are Minerals Plus, as well as ultrathymine B1, CDP or cytidine, choline, and uridine monophosphate to increase the cholinergic pathways. And the minerals are Minerals Plus and copper Regenemax. We have the CoQ10, the only CoQ10 in the world that is not going to polymerize or crystallize. It doesn't lose its biological activity. And the most bioabsorbed reserve form, water-soluble form for the gums, the teeth, the GI tract, and the brain, central nervous system is CoQ10 ubiquinol, the reserve form. We have the curcumin cream, liposomal curcumin for inflammation and cancer and reversal. So I often tell people with skin conditions use the transdermal pregnenolone, anti-inflammatory, or curcumin cream. For hormones, we use also the DHEA, but the curcumin cream and pregnenolone are amazing. we have the D-ribose, we call it ATP energy. The D-ribose is immediately converted to ATP. We also have, of course, the dibetaline, which is the primary thing we use for reducing insulin. The other is berberstatin, leptin metabolic, and glycemic drink. Digestes, this is going to reduce your stomach problems with decreased stomach acid and pepsin. The Digestes improves it and protects your stomach lining. We also have GastroHeal to protect your stomach lining from acid reflux or bile gastritis or duodenitis. And the enzymes are Gastrozyme, which includes non-animal-based enzymes that even have a glutenase to get rid of gluten. We mentioned ellagic acid, 300 times higher concentration than the pomegranate to protect your blood vessel walls, your eyes, and your DNA. A very major breakthrough. And then femgesterone. This is for PMS, premenstrual syndrome, and for perimenopause. Ferritin, our best iron in the world, the iron 3, it will not constipate you, but it will raise your blood iron faster than anything except for transfusion. We have our fluid radiation mask kits, NIOSH N95 masks, forskolin. This is going to convert burn-off calories like crazy, along with lipoflush, conjugated linoleic acid. Forskolin is also good for microcirculation for the eye and brain and heart, etc. And the forskolin will convert white fat to brown fat so you can burn it off. So really good for losing weight and reversing the diabetic central body weight gain. We've had lots of people doing really well in forskolin and CLA, our lipoflush. And when we come back in, we're going to be joined with Tim Alexander at the bottom of the hour, an update from our nuclear specialist, Chris Harris. Coming up tomorrow, the firing line, where I'm in the batter cage. Michelle has lots of questions. Hopefully she'll catch me off guard, but she'll reduce the speed of which I put out the information so it's all understandable, which is why it's probably the most popular hour of the week, because I fire off this information like a minigun from one of our military helicopters. But if you have questions and you still don't understand it, just call or email 888-212-8871. I will slow down for you off air, give you all the information you need to use functional medicine wellness and our Nutrimedical formulas, a conventional and advanced technology to get well and to become the master of your own health. Back in a moment with Hour 3. Stay tuned.